We begin tonight with the largest military action in Europe since the Second World War. Russian ground forces have moved into Ukraine as airstrikes and shellings target cities and bases.
People are trying to get away from the fighting, heading west, away from the Russian border. Tonight, a family from Odessa trying to escape shares their harrowing story. Matt Ingram tells us more.
Awoken by the sound of Russian missiles slamming into her country, Mariya Stepanova says she could see what was happening from her apartment window in Odessa.
We see our defense system, which I think they were shooting down the missiles. So that one was really close.
She, along with her husband Egor and their 4-year-old son Raphael, are trying to escape the invasion, speaking with CHCH News from their car on their second attempt to drive to Ukraine's western border.
In the morning, it was impossible. Like all the main roads, all main cities were attacked.
The family is one of many trying to head west as Russian forces conduct airstrikes and thousands of troops and tanks invade eastern Ukraine from Russia, Belarus, and Crimea. Russian President Vladimir Putin went on state TV in a pre-dawn address announcing what he calls a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, a country with a democratically elected government and a Jewish president. Russia says separatist forces in the Ukrainian border regions of Donetsk and Luhansk asked for troops, and Putin tried to frame the invasion as an operation to protect ethnic Russians. Gunfire and explosions could be heard throughout the morning in the capital, Kyiv. There is fierce fighting between Russian and Ukrainian forces in the Sumy and Kharkiv regions near the northeastern Russian border. Russian forces control the abandoned Chernobyl nuclear plant, prompting fears of an ecological disaster. Stepanova says some of the heaviest fighting is just east of Odessa in the area of Kherson, where Russian forces now control a strategic water reservoir that supplies Crimea.
We are imposing further severe sanctions.
Calling the attack the greatest threat to European stability since the Second World War, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced new sanctions coordinated with other G7 countries, targeting 58 Russian entities and individuals. The Feds say no more Russian export permits will be issued, and existing ones are canceled.
These sanctions are wide-reaching, and they will limit President Putin's ability to continue funding this unjustified invasion.
Vladimir Putin has been planning this for months, as we've been saying all along.
U.S. President Joe Biden hosted a virtual meeting of the G7 this morning before announcing new American sanctions targeting Russian banks and oligarchs, but not Putin himself.
Why not sanction him today, sir? Mr. President? Why not sanction him today, sir?
Western deterrence has failed.
International relations professor Oral Brown is critical of the way the U.S. president has slowly imposed increasingly severe sanctions and says the West didn't give Ukraine enough defensive weapons.
They asked us to provide them with the weapons to defend themselves, and we largely failed.
Back in Ukraine, Mariya tells her son they are driving because they are playing a game, hiding from the bad guys. She is angry and scared and unsure what will come next.
We're going through some small city here, and I saw Ukrainian flag, and I started crying because, like, we don't want to go anywhere, you know. Like, it's our country, we want to stay.
Mariya and her family were forced to find a place to stay for the night, unable to get back to Odessa or out of the country before a curfew began, barring people from the streets. In Russia, not everyone supports the invasion. There have been protests against the war in Moscow and other Russian towns. Ukrainian officials say dozens of Ukrainians have been killed and hundreds wounded.